Be
Start.
sure to be sure to record it.
I just turned that on. It looks like it's
Okay, good.
recording. Okay. All right. So welcome everyone. We're going to be talking about horse racing today. And this is going to be a very experiential kind of webinar. So we're not going to be going into a whole lot of theory, but I hope that as we go through this, if you have any questions or you need more information, that you'll just jump right in. I'd like it to be very interactive. Um, so we'll just go ahead and get started a little bit on the format. Um, we are going to be doing Learn by Doing. I'm going to start off giving an example of one of our recent, actually, it was just last week, where we had a couple of people who did really well, and I wanted to show you some of their transcripts. And this is going to be an example of how individuals can sometimes do well, even though the group, we didn't have we passed on that particular um, race, but we did have some people who did very well. And so even though the groups may not have a great thing, then you can still have people who are doing well. And I didn't introduce myself. My name is Teresa Schnellman, and so I do run the first group, and this is what we're going to be talking about is some of the things that we do in first group, and also what we're doing today is connected to that since it's horse racing. I see a message down there from Ima. I don't know what that's in regards to. Could you get on and let me know what your question's about,
Oh,
Ima?
no, no,
Yeah.
please ignore that. I clicked on the wrong button. I
Okay.
apologize.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that if you needed something, I could respond to it. So I did want to go ahead and say that what our learn by doing part of this is going to be, we're going to be looking at a race outcome in the future, actually three races together called the Triple Crown. And so we're going to be going through one remote viewing session. We're going to do the judging, and I'm hoping that you'll be willing to share some of your transcripts so that we can look at them as we go through the judging process. And then we won't actually be able to do feedback until, it depends on how this turns out. It could be as early as May 20th at the Preakness Stakes if we have a different horse who wins the Preakness than wins the Kentucky Derby, or it may be as late as June 10th. So the time that we'll actually get feedback could vary. And that's going to become a little bit more clear as we go along as well, in case you're not familiar with what the Triple Crown, which is what we're going to be dealing with today. If you're not familiar with that, that'll become clear. So to begin with, um, through the we process, which is winning entanglement, we're looking at two different sides. So we have two possible photo site targets that we can end up viewing. So the first one will be associated with yes, and the second will be associated with no. And what our goal is to view the target that actually happens. So we want to make sure that all of our efforts are focusing on getting the information for the photo site that's connected with the actual outcome. So let me just kind of stop right here and say, is anybody here brand new to we or to remote viewing? Or you've all done this before? Okay. Just
Teresa, can I ask you, are you
uh-huh.
showing still the first slide, or are you
No,
trying to?
no, we should
Be-
be on another slide. You didn't see those?
I'm not seeing it. Is everybody else? Is it just me?
I just see the first slide.
You just see the first
Okay.
slide. So what is the problem?
Me as well.
Okay, well, I'll go back to the first slide. And
I'm just wondering if it's on the wrong screen or something, because I figured you were showing other stuff.
it says my screen, main screen.
Um, right, and that's what you're on. Do you have the
I
focus on horse racing on another screen or something?
I am on the same screen that I was showing when I logged on.
Hmm.
Should I refresh or something? I don't know. That's gonna knock everybody
I
off, I think.
It's just a little bit, yeah. It's just I've never seen this before.
It actually did this
Um,
yesterday when we were doing, or the other day, is we had to restart, as I
oh,
recall.
is that the only way you fixed it?
Well, that's how we did it the other day. Anyone else have a
Okay.
suggestion? Maybe if I stop showing my screen and switch it over to you, and then you can send it back to me. How about
Oh,
that?
that's a good idea. That's a good
Okay.
idea.
All right.
Okay. Um,
Okay, I stopped. So
right. Did you make me a presenter or somebody? I'll make myself the
I'm
presenter.
changing presenter to Marty. Okay.
Right.
Did you get it?
Yes. Okay. So and now I'll send it back to you. That's a good idea.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
see, now I'm seeing your full PowerPoint screen. Okay, go to the next slide.
Okay. See it now?
Yes.
It
Yes,
changed?
now I can see
That's
it.
great.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, now you can write. Okay, very good.
All right.
Teresa, I have one basic question that occurred to me even before we started this, and I don't know, I'll just ask it now and then get it out of the road. I To the extent that everything is based on the feedback event in the ARV, is there any question about there being an ambiguous time point to when the feedback is going to occur? Because you can't say, move to this time and this date and tell me and describe the transcript that you see, because it's possibly 3 different times that that could happen. Is that an issue, or is that unrelated to the protocol you're using for this particular prediction?
I
That's my
think
question.
I think you kind of answered your own question, because it is the protocol that we're using is not relevant because of that. Because if we were actually going to the well, what we're doing is we are looking at the photo site that's connected to the outcome, and the outcome is going to be yes or no, will there be a Triple Crown winner? And that answer could come as soon as May, or it could come as late as June, but the answer is going to be the answer. And so for that reason, I think that we avoid that problem. So in my opinion, anyway, does anyone have a different opinion? I mean, that's the way that I'm looking at it, is that we're looking at the photo site that's connected with what actually happens. And whenever it actually happens, is the result that we're going to be trying to get. Excuse my phone.
And that's what the coordinate is all about.
Hmm.
So you go to the feedback associated with the coordinate, and that's independent of time.
Okay. I only asked that because I guess I happened to take Laurie Williams' ARV course, and in those protocols, we did use a direction to which involved time, and we had to be there at a specific time. And I understand that there's different ways of approaching this, but that was something that came into my mind.
Right.
In this case, time is not an issue. Time is handled by the feedback coordinate, and whenever in time that happens to be, it's all good. Something like that?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I've been in the same classes as you had been with Lori, and we did exactly as you say. But I'm looking at this as being different because we're connecting the coordinate and the photo site directly to the outcome, and that's whenever the answer comes, then it's going to be linked to that outcome. So it
Okay, that
should be
gets
fine.
time out of the way then. That's
Yeah,
fine.
I think we're fine. So I'm just gonna, since you can see the slide now, I'm just kind of gonna walk down this one more time. Like, we are going to be going over some results from one of our group's last sessions. Then we are going to be looking at we're going to be doing one remote viewing session. We're going to be judging it, and hopefully you'll be willing to send your transcripts in, and then we'll come up with a group prediction. And so we won't know for a while. Could be May, could be June, but that's pretty much the format we're going to be going through. So we do have 2 sides, of course, that we're going to be have 2 possibilities. So the first possibility is associated with yes. So we have one photo site that's going to be associated with yes, there will be a winner. And no, there won't be. And here is where we're talking about the target is associated with what actually happens. So going back to your question, that's how we're trying to really focus in our intention and looking at tying this transcript to the actual outcome, whichever photosite is connected to that. So last week, we had a group pass in our first group, but we had a couple of people who actually were able to get the correct prediction. And here's one of the ones I wanted to share with you. She's actually a new viewer. Her name is Leslie, and she's did this transcript. You can't read it really well, but basically what struck me about it is that this was actually linked to the outcome of no, there was not going to be a winner in this particular race, that according to the format that we set, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But so basically her transcript, she had a lot of things that were right on target. And I was looking at, I was doing the self-judge, I was doing the judging for her, and the things that struck me about this, she has things in air and space. And then right here, she comes up and says it's a NASA photo, which in fact it was. So she was all about space on this one. So that was a very strong session for this side, which was side B. And then, so we have two sides, right? So on the other one, she had a very strong session for it as well. So she actually named Japanese garden in this one. So her AOL supported her other descriptors, and so she was able to do exactly what you want to do in where you got one side that's strong for one photo side, and one transcript is strong for it, and then you have the other one that's strong for the other side, and in that way they're both pointing towards the same outcome. So maybe in what they're trying to do is say that like for instance in this one we're talking about, will a horse win, the odds favored horse, will it actually win the race? And so her thing was no. The first one that we looked at, the answer was no, the horse will not win the race. And then on this side, side A was saying, it also said no, the horse won't win the race, because this one was saying that side A would not actualize. So so you get two chances in to come up with the answer. And I probably didn't say that very well. Are y'all familiar with we at all? Have you used it? So, well, okay. So anyway, this is going back to, we have two sides and two transcripts, and when they work together in then you get two confirmations of the outcome that you're wanting. Familiar with what is called Winning Entanglements. It's the software that we're using today, and it's also the one that we use in our first group. So this is just kind of an introduction to the way that it works. You can also use just one transcript to get a prediction, and actually that is what we will actually be doing today instead of using two. So this is just a way to get confirmation. But in our group, we did have two people who predicted no, which was the correct side. We had two that predicted yes, which was a miss. And then we had one that predicted a pass. So our group prediction was a pass. And so when we come later in today, when we do a group prediction, we're going to do the same kind of thing. Like some of you may go on one side and some may go on the others, and some may pass. And so we'll look at this all together and decide what our prediction as a group should be. So that's kind of the process. Okay, hey Ted. So you were also one of the viewers. That's absolutely right. So so pretty much is just going through the process. When you do your transcripts, you're focusing on trying to predict which one is going to be the one that actualizes. So you're looking for the feedback target, and then when you actually get the feedback, then you're going to get reinforcement on that, and that's pretty much the process. So today we're focusing on something that's going to happen in a couple of months. It's going to be starting off in May, and so it's going to be, will there be a Triple Crown winner in 2017? And there have only been 12 horses who have won all three of these races since the Triple Crown began in 1919. So this is something that doesn't happen very often. And it is for 3-year-old thoroughbreds, and it starts off with the Kentucky Derby on May 6th, then the Preakness Stakes on May 20th, and the Belmont Stakes on June 10th. And what's going to be even more interesting for us is that American Pharaoh won the Triple Crown last year. And only once before in history have horses won twice in a row, 2 years in a row. And that was when Seattle Slew did in 1977 and Affirmed in 1978. So if in fact a horse does win the Triple Crown in this year, then that's going to be a really unusual occurrence. And so if we predict that it does, and it does happen, that would be really cool. So our job today is to look into the future and predict the winning side, whatever that might be. And this is something that Marty's been doing in this group on the webinars. He's been doing a series. You may have been involved in some of these previously, and it can take different formats. Today we're doing a yes or no prediction. Sometimes it's team A or B, over, under, up or down, or side one or side two. So it can take a lot of different formats, but in any case, you're trying to predict the outcome. And here are some of the results. This is not even updated, but these are some of the results of some of the targets that Marty's been looking at over this course of this series. And some of these I know we could obviously fill out that third one there. We know who the president is, but so there have been some successes here. So it's an interesting process. So in our remote viewing session, then our intention is going to be to create a remote viewing transcript that's a good match for the feedback target. Now, I've said that already a couple of times, and I guess I'm going to say it a few more times before we're over, but we're going to be getting a coordinate here in a little bit, and we're just going to keep that in mind and nothing else, that we're just trying to go for the feedback target, the one that we'll actually see whenever it is that we get our feedback. We're going to focus on what that's going to be. And this is from a previous one. When you actually get when you get the information back in it will actually tell you what your prediction is. Now this is from one of the previous ones, obviously. So the software does a lot of the work for us, so that when we input the information, then we get the answers out automatically from the software, so it makes the process go smoothly. So, and then the feedback session on down the path is, we're going to be getting more information back. Then we're going to get after you input your target number in there, your coordinate number, it's going to send you back the one photo that's correct. The one photo that is the feedback target, and that's going to give you the reinforcement that you need to do your session. And that's actually where the session begins. When you actually see that feedback target in the future, that's what the information is that you're looking at now. You're trying to go into the future and say, when I sit down and get that feedback target sent to me, then what is it going to be? And that's going to drive your session today. I've got a question here: who created the software? And that would be Marty. Wouldn't that be you, Marty? You did all of that, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now today, I'm actually going to give you the coordinate. And so you're not going to need to go out and get your own coordinate. But when you do go to get it, this is pretty much what it looks like. You're going to get an email that has this information in it. And you can see up here at the top, it tells you what the tasking is. And, oops, going back. It will also have a link in here that this is where you can go in and put in your upload your transcripts and things like that. So this is what it looks like when you actually get it. If you haven't gone into We yet, this is you'll get an email that looks like this, and then you'll click on this link here, and that's going to take you, and you can upload your transcript there. And it has all the information about the event and when the transcripts are due and stuff like that. And you do use your email address, and you use the same email address every time, and that way it will keep your statistics for you. That's one of the wonderful things about Winning Entanglements and the software that Marty created, is that you can go in there, and at the very end of the session it has a link where you can click it, and it will take you to your stats, and you can see how you've been doing over time. And I find that very helpful. You can always go back in time and look at that. So in this particular one is the webinar workshop, and you have the choice usually of doing 2 coordinates or 1 coordinate, and today we're doing 1. And so that is pretty much the information that we have before we actually get started doing the session. So what other questions does anyone have before we jump in? Nothing? Okay. All righty. Well, we do have our cue right here. Our remote viewing cue is describe and sketch your feedback target. So to get us started on this, let's see. Let me go ahead. And I just would like to push this one more time. I've said this several times, but we are looking at the information that we're going to be getting back from feedback. So we're going to be looking at that. Would everybody write down this coordinate, 116929? And when you're actually going to be getting this, this is the what you'll actually be getting when you get the email. It'll look more like this. And right here. So what we're going to be doing next is doing the cool down. And I'm going to, when we actually start doing the cool down, I'm going to go back and put that cue number right back up there so that you'll have it in front of you. But what I would like you to do is just prepare for the cool down. So quiet your mind. And this is a mental discipline where you're trying to remove extraneous thoughts and just kind of clear your mind so that the images and the information can come to you from the future. And just get prepared for this. And I would, I'm not going to actually do a walkthrough on the cool down, but I do have some HemiSync music if you would like me to play that. I was just planning to play that. We normally do the cool down for about 10 minutes, and that includes the time that you're actually doing your session. So it's not just cool down, but it's cool down, and the session will be for 10 minutes. And hopefully the HemiSync will help you relax into that. Okay, any other questions? Oops, going back, where it is, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is your coordinate, and let me come down here and bring up some music for you. Oh, darn it. Every time I move my mouse to bring up the music, it doesn't. It goes to another slide. That's not helpful. Okay. Well, Marty, I'm not able to get to my HemiSync. Do you have some HemiSync that you can play?
No, plus the sound. It's one of the weaknesses of this system. You would almost have to put it by the mic. So if you play it on your system, they won't hear it anyway. So I just suggest people just, be quiet and, take 10 minutes and, use the first couple, just like you said, for getting quiet and everything.
Okay, well, in that case, okay, I will just go ahead and start that process and then set a timer for 10 minutes if that works. And I'm sorry that that didn't work out. This is my first time, guys. I'm sorry that I didn't test that out first. Okay, so I got my timer set. So let's everybody cool down and relax. Take a deep breath. See yourself connecting with your future self. There is one and only one photosite that connects with this coordinate. 116929.
Muted. Unmuted.
One more minute. Okay, everybody come back. Okay, is everybody back with us?
I am.
Okay, I see Terry and Donna.
Yes, Julie, yes.
Okay, very good. Lynn? Okay, so what we're going to do is, now it wants to come up. Let's see. Trying to minimize this so we can go to the other screen. Wow. No. Oh, great. Okay, there we are. Can everybody see my screen with the tasking, the link to the tasking coordinate? Okay. All right. Then what we're going to do now is do our judging together. So does anyone need any more time, or everybody's just ready to go ahead and do our judging? So, okay, ready. Okay, here we go. So when you're doing this yourself, you're going to be putting your own email address up here, but I'm putting mine in since we're going to do this as a group today. And you can see it's already set on webinar workshop here. So whatever group you're in is going to show up there. And we only have one coordinate today. So I'm going to click one coordinate. And now we're going to see the two pictures that we're going to look at to do our judging. And we're going to do that by entering. I'm just going to enter a dummy here. Ordinarily, you would enter your transcript here, but I'm just going to enter a dummy. Dummy. Okay, so here is where you would be doing that. You'd be entering your transcript just like I just did. And then you would get the photographs. And so you're going to go through the process of looking at your transcript and looking at it against photosite A, and then look at it against photosite B. And what I normally do is I go ahead and I write down here in this block right here the things that match. So as I go through and look at my my transcript, then I just write all the things that match down here in the box. So I would do matches A and then matches B. And then you're going to end up giving it a score. And this is going to be based on the confidence ranking system that was developed at the Stanford Research Institute, and Russell Targ was one of the people who wrote the paper that talked about this first. So you're going to go through the process of, does it have just a little correspondence up to the point where you think that you definitely made contact. And normally we say that if you could rate it a 3.5, then it would be something that would be bettable. And that would be a mixture of correct and incorrect elements, but enough of the correct to make you think that you made contact with the target. And so you'll go on through the process, and the examples that I showed you earlier of Leslie's, where you're actually in the process that you named the target with analytical information, which she wrote down correctly. She wrote that as an analytical overlay, which means that it's a noun. So she wrote it down as a noun. She wrote it down on the right side of her paper, which was the correct way to do it. But when you get to the point where even that matches, then you get up in the ranks of like a 5 or a 6, where you have very little incorrect information and some things that directly name the target. So as you're looking at your transcripts, these are the kinds of things that you're going to be looking for, like how many things are matching, how many things are not matching, is anything unique and unambiguous. Okay, we're going to need to, as you rank these, go ahead and put your numbers into the chat box so that we can begin to put together a table for the group. And then maybe some of you will be willing to send your transcripts in so that we can look at them and as a group.
Teresa,
Yes.
I'm just getting back in now for my session, and I see 2 pictures here. We're going to judge this via WeStyle, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so I just go ahead and make my pick and put it in the chat box. Is what you're saying?
Yes, that's right. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just got in and I just unmuted my laptop. So.
Right. Yeah. See, you can see the coordinate right here in the center here. So that is the coordinate that we were using today. So you're going to judge it against each of these photos and just put your CR, like your CR for A and then your CR for B.
Oh, I see. Okay, instead of making a pick, we're going to put her. Okay, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was under the impression we had to go to our email and mail something in, but you were just describing the process, right?
That's the process, yeah. I was describing the process because if you haven't ever done it before, I just wanted you to realize that this is different from what you would normally do.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I just want to make sure I'm clear with it, and if I missed anything, I want to make sure I picked that up. So thank you.
Well, thank you for clarifying that, because I probably confused everybody.
No, I was just out. I had my mute on, and I was doing the session, so I wanted to make sure I got everything.
Okay, very cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Julie, I see yours right there.
Teresa, are those 2 the images that we are supposed to work with?
Yes.
And can you tell me what photo site A image is, because it's so small I can hardly understand it?
I don't know what it is. Let me see if I can make it any, I don't know if I can make it any bigger or not. It looks, is that any better?
Yes, that's a little bit better. I still don't know what it is, but
yeah, I don't
that
either.
would represent. That's a geometric pattern, obviously, and it has to be man-made structure.
Uh-huh.
Maybe the outside of it could be the outside of a structure, and it could be an object itself. But I would think what would come up would be a lot of diamonds. I understand what you mean, Terry.
Yeah,
It's not,
it does look kind of like the outside of a dome or something like that. I'm not really sure though. It looks, I don't
or,
know.
or pyramid like the Louvre or something like that.
Right.
But it's hard to make those judgments. I think it's really just the idea of a man-made structure or shape.
Probably we might be able to go out later and look and see what it says, as far as the description of it. I don't know if it'll have that on it or not.
Yeah, it might attach to the.
Right. So we may be able to get a little bit more feedback after the fact. Let's see. Land 4 and 2. Let's see. ML 2 and 4.5. Both sides 1.5 and Julie. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we could just do a Google image search on it, couldn't we?
That would be nice.
Okay, let me go back and let me just pop this. That one's pretty clear, though. The flower, the stamen and all is pretty clear. It's easy to see. So, okay, Donna, 3 and 4.5.
I'm taking a look at the transcripts. Can I see the torque scale one more time, please?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Looks like we have just a couple more to come in, and then we'll be ready to look at Does anyone want to send your transcript in so that we can look at it?
I will. I'll send in mine.
Okay.
If you want to. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. No problem. I can do that. Do just a minute.
And I just sent one to you, Teresa. I don't know if everybody has your email address. Maybe they do.
Let me write it in the
Anyway,
chat. I'll put it in the chat box.
Yeah.
I just sent mine to Teresa and Marty both.
Okay, that's good. That's a good idea, actually. Okay. Okay, so let me bring up.
I'm going to send one as well, but it might take a couple of moments.
Okay. Oh, so Ted says he didn't find anything using the Google image search. So
Maybe I can make a comment on that. In terms of wanting to know what it is from the perspective of remote viewing, you don't need to, because
Right.
just as someone said earlier, you're going to describe and sketch the feedback target. Well, there are plenty of other things. You don't even want to ever name it. Well, you do as an AOL maybe
Mm-hmm.
if you're right, but this has plenty of shapes, plenty of colors, lots of geometry to it. So, I mean, you could do a remote viewing of that.
And they're definitely very different. I mean, one is very geometric and the other one's very organic and biological versus obviously man-made, so there are some big differences there. Okay, Julie, would you like to talk a little bit about your transcript? Is my screen showing both things? You can see both the photo site and your transcript. Is that correct, Julie?
It is showing it.
Okay, good. Well, so let's see. So you had you rated those both at a 1. So you had wooden, long, blue, yellow. So yellow definitely was for B, and red for B. So your colors were a good match for B.
And then I had a series of
Uh-huh.
lines.
Yeah, you had the triangles, geometric shapes here for A.
Right. And then it just seems really off for both, like equal to both on a very weak level.
Gosh, I don't know. I think you kind of rated it low, but I can see that I can see that you might want to pass because you had good things for both sides. So you definitely had some good geometric shapes here, and then you had the good colors here. So that would be pretty confusing.
Yeah.
But okay, so yours was pretty much a pass.
Very much so. Sorry about that.
That's okay. It happens. Sometimes it just happens, and you don't want to force it. That's a very important thing. You don't want to force the process.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's like terrible.
Okay. All right. So let's see Marty's. Oops. That's not going to help. I think I just talked to Siri. Come on, open up. Okay, there's that. Now then we got to get the other screen back. Okay. Well, this is confusing. So when I bring that up, it kind of slides my other stuff. Can you see this transcript? Can you see Marty's transcript? Or is it still?
Yeah, we see.
Okay, but the other page went away.
Yeah.
But
maybe we remember.
Okay.
Enough, maybe that
Yeah, I don't know why that's going away every time I click on it, but okay. So basically, you want to talk a little bit about it, Marty?
Sure. Let me talk about it. You can see my style is to do the number many times, and I say it out loud, and I even trace it, and sometimes I trace it backwards, which is sort of fun, just reinforcing I'm getting information from the future. In this case, my ideogram really had people, and I didn't give any credit for that, but I had structure, which went with A. It did it the second time, and I got the strong feeling of round. Then I got a man. None of that was very good. But then this picture looked like, in my mind, to be in terms of this, what do they call that, the stamen and the whatever coming out. So I gave that credit for B. The only color I got that came in was clearly B. And I just kept getting this ramp and circle thing, so I ended. Usually I'd like to get a lot more information. But when I look at this I felt was pretty good, but and the color was good, but not enough to be wagerable. So I ranked it as a 3.25.
So it was just
Uh,
almost to the level, but not
that's
quite.
how I felt. Just because the color,
Hmm.
and it couldn't be more red. And this to me just really looked a lot like the inner part of the flower,
Hmm.
and the back may have come across as a rank. But anyway, that was my logic, and for better or worse, that's what I did.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. And I think it's interesting how not only how people do their transcripts, but also how we judge it. So, you gave that a 3.5, and Julie, you had a lot of things that were kind of similar to this, and you'd ranked it lower, and neither one is wrong. But, I think it's just interesting how we all bring our own style to this, which is great, I think. Um,
I have a question.
mm-hmm.
I have a question. On Marty's, I see a circle and a circle, and I did a circle and a circle.
Uh-huh.
I didn't give it credit, and it looks like Marty didn't give a circle and a circle credit either, but I almost wonder if you look at the flower, you've got I didn't even notice this until later, you've got the inner center circle that the stamen is coming out of, and then a bunch of little circles on the stamen, and I'm wondering if that isn't the circle within a circle thing going.
Yeah, it could
And
be.
that's interesting. I didn't
Yeah.
notice that either until it flashed up.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Hey, folks, when we get to my transcript, I want to comment a little bit about that. Julie, you're definitely onto something.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty.
Yeah. What's really interesting is that thing that the John Herlowski's explanation of how he judges was just so great in the
Mhm.
respect that, yeah, it's so easy sometimes, I think, to discount some things that don't seem to be relevant at the moment, and then you go back and go, oh my, that's very relevant. It takes some thought to come up with that.
Exactly.
You're right. If I had seen
Um,
that, I would have marked that as a B.
and he was also, talking about, the main things, the main gestalt and stuff like that. So, I think those are important points to think as we're judging as well. Just kind of what are the key points that we're supposed to be picking up on.
Yeah.
Lynn.
I mean, he didn't
Yeah,
necessarily make up those rules. I mean, those are the rules.
Sure.
I mean, archetypes come up subconsciously. I mean, you'll draw something that's abstract representation, and that's how the subconscious is associative. It makes association through these little symbols that we do.
Right.
The spiral, I get the spiral in hurricanes, in galaxies, in flowers, and I think, that's a speculation on my part, I think it's a representation of the golden spiral, the
Mm-hmm.
golden ratio, and how I have to probe to see how or if it's moving, or if it's massive, or if it's small. It takes a little bit more time in the signal to get the detailed information. But that spiral comes out for a number of things in the universe. It seems like, at least.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there is some connection there. So, Lynn, are you there? Can you use your
yeah,
mic? Okay.
yeah. I seem to have gotten the opposite. I just kept getting this. I gave my photosite a higher score because even though I think I had elements of B, like Yellow Daisy and the taste and things, but I got like this regular grid pattern
Mm-hmm.
of this like white dots or something on a black background. So that kind of really popped out for me. Um, and then like the feelings I got, I would, I kind of, when I'm looking at this photo site A, it kind of looks like maybe like, I don't know, like progressive energy, or I'm thinking of windmills or something. And I kind of got that. I didn't get too much on the flower. Of course, I don't always really get colors, so because I don't have any kind of red,
Right.
but I do have a mix. I kind of sometimes I get a mix. I'm concerned because I get a mix of both, and I think that maybe I'm just getting bored with one, then I go to another. I don't know.
That's not uncommon at all, to get a little bit of both. I mean, we do our intention, to get just the feedback photo, but sometimes other stuff does link in. So,
And my ideogram, I mean, I don't know, it just was
mhm.
really, really sharp. It was
Uh-huh,
like sharp,
it was,
sharply pointed. I
yeah.
don't know, it had.
And you did have some, I mean, that has kind of a bluish tint to it, and even the aqua and stuff like that. So the colors are here too as well. And so you actually did a 4 for A. So you and Jonathan both did A. Let's find Jonathan's. Jonathan. Okay, so you have 2 attachments. So we'll look at these. Let's look at the first one. Um, let's see. So we have mountains, ramping. Jonathan, you want to talk about this for us? Are you there? Let's see. I have my chat box closed. Oh, mic is not working. Okay. So basically, just looking at this, he's got mountainous, ramp-like, ramping up, which go with A. And let's see. A sharp drop in places, sloping, man-made cliffs and structures. Those were related to A. And then with B, natural and natural environment was okay. So we have those things. And then on your second page, let's see if we can go back. Will it go back? Yes. Okay. So you have a sketch of a person. Let's see. Let's see, Jonathan. Let me pull my chat box back up. Is there anything you want to say about the, you want to put anything in the chat about the drawing, the sketch? Do you think it relates to one more than the other? Okay. Okay. Alrighty. So those were the 2 that were for A. And so let's see. So Jonathan says he doesn't think there was a direct relation for the sketch to either of the photo sites. Okay. Let's go on and see Ted. Let's see, Ted, you did a pass as well. Did anyone send in a transcript that's for the other side? Let's see, that would be, well, Marty, yours was almost, that was a 3.25, but Ima or Don, did you send yours in? So this one, you want to tell us about yours, Ted?
Sure, just didn't really, you can see my confidence ratings were pretty low. I got triangle, clearly a couple of triangles.
Mm-hmm.
One was sort of in a shape that could be described as a vessel or a boat, but there were still triangles. Man-made, I got blue. I got for A, and B. There was a couple of tubular or long, sort of even perspective, like receding into the distance. That's the thing that I labeled B on the right, which I put down, and also the tubular thing on the sketch on the top. So there were a couple of tubulars, but that wasn't enough for me.
Okay. Okay. And so you ranked yours a 1.5. And so let's see, did I miss anybody's? Because I know we had a couple, maybe, is that, did I do Donna's?
Did we do Shane?
No.
No, I didn't do Donna's or Shane's. Okay, so we'll do Donna. Okay. Oh, there we go. This thing's driving me nuts. Okay, well, okay, so Donna, you want to talk about yours? I can't seem to get this screen back up again. So you.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I think, though, starting out, that I got the pictures backwards because they were stacked weird. So could you re-verify which was photo site A and which was photo site B?
Yeah, A was the geometric, and
Okay.
B was the flower.
Okay, so I got them backwards. So everything I
Okay.
have A by is really B and vice versa.
Okay.
Sorry.
So that's
So initially, the Gestalt was that kind of U shape around, and at the same time, I also got the color red. But then, as I kept trying to draw my attention towards the correct feedback target, I started getting, you'll see off to the side, upward angles, and then this picture in the middle that kind of reminded me of a mesa. And I just kept seeing angles that were going upward. So it really felt like I was drawing towards the angular pictures, even though I did get some of the photo site B. So I feel like I was also leaning towards photo site A because the angles, as I asked myself to see the correct feedback target, kept going to these sharp angles and upward angles for me.
Okay, so yours was actually a 4.5 for A and a 3 for B then. Is
Yes.
that right? Okay.
But the Gestalt, the initial big picture, did come with that U, and right with it was the color red.
Okay. Okay. Alrighty, and then we're going to see if we can pick Shane's now. See if we can find his. There it is. Okay. And see, Shane, you were for the side B, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. And so you want to talk a little bit, I know you got 2 pages, you want to talk a little bit about this page?
Well, this is the last 2 pages of the transcript.
Okay.
Up top in the corner there, you see my
Right.
AOL.
I do.
BK. As things are coming in, I'm just drawing a line for each of my dimensional words in the previous stage. So this is emerging as a wave, and then it starts to spiral as a flower, and you see that I AOL as a hurricane, because I'm not quite sure, but in the middle of this, I began to recognize the spiraling shape that it was moving. Let me get the stage 4. That's the other picture. We don't have to show the stage 4.
Okay.
The stage 4 had the idea of spiraling, spinning, it being natural, a thing, an object, and that it was tracking or vectoring. It was moving. So it could have been one or the other, a hurricane or a flower or none of them. But it turns out that one of the pictures was a flower, so I went with B as wagerable.
Okay. Okay. And you actually ranked that a 5, is that correct?
Did I rank it a 5 or a 4.5? Yeah, I'd say a 5. 4.5 just to be safe. I think 4.5 is probably more
Okay.
in the middle, more accurate.
Okay. Alrighty.
I have a question.
Yes.
As group managers, do you ever look for similarities that start to appear in individual transcripts that you get for a specific viewing, say like that circly thing? Does it start to become more powerful if you start to see it across several transcripts that come in?
I have noticed that. I don't necessarily, well, I normally go with the information that I get from the viewer personally. That's the way that I normally do my group. But I have noticed that between transcripts, and it's interesting sometimes, but it isn't always indicative that is actually going to be the one that actualizes.
Yeah. It might be a bunch of lemons jumping off a cliff.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed what's really strange is on Jonathan's, he's got a vessel or a boat outline, and I put down a boat hole. And that just is such an oddball, specific thing for 2 transcripts to have come up.
Right.
That state that. It's so specific.
It's.
Yeah, I had a boat. I had a boat as well. Quick.
Yeah, it's so specific to have that kind of an identification.
Mm-hmm.
it's beyond chance.
It is. Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah, it is fascinating, but I don't normally change my group prediction based on that. Marty, do you generally? Okay, he must not be here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm here. Can
Yeah.
you ask the question again? I'm sorry.
No, I was just
Go
the
ahead. Ask the
question.
question again.
The question that Julie had was, when you get some elements in a transcript and you see them in several different transcripts, as a group manager, do you take that into account for the group prediction? And I was saying that I don't generally, normally I go with what the viewer has put down, and I notice it, but I don't usually do anything with it.
Right. That's how I react as well. But I wish there was some way we could quantify that as happening a lot,
Right.
because it leads to the idea that, whether we like it or not, our consciousness are connected, and that's why it happens. But
hmm
yeah.
So maybe that's something, if, as we get a more robust database, maybe that's something that we could start tracking in the future. That might be a good thing to track, because it does come up. I mean, it's not rare at all. Okay, would you like to talk about your transcript, Iman?
Yeah, I think I might have, I mean, maybe I rated it too high, but I felt very strongly that it was a natural thing. And also the colors that I got were very specific, although I did get some browns and greens that I couldn't quite attribute. And the blue, of course, was for the A. Burning wood, I have no idea where that came from. Maybe because it's cold here and there's a lot of fires going on.
There you go.
The eggs, I think, is the stamen, and the pistil. That's what I attributed that to when I saw those. Round and flat were dimensions I felt that were attributed to A. My feelings, I don't know. I think that's probably just because I'm trying too hard. And those are the feelings that I have when I'm doing remote viewing. Those have absolutely
Right.
nothing to do with the target itself.
I hear you.
When I got to the drawing, I mean, to me, the drawing is definitely not man-made. It's natural, but I can't really make any correlation to the flower
Uh-huh.
that's there. But yeah, so that's why I didn't put anything on it.
Okay.
It's yeah, but I did feel that strongly attracted to photosite B as opposed to photosite A
Okay.
when I looked at my results.
And I think you ranked it a 4 for the B.
I did,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And maybe that's a little high. I
So,
don't know.
so we've got you and Shane both going for side B, and let's see. Then we had, I guess, um, I'm going to say your name wrong again. Let's see. Did we get any other? Did anyone else want to share your transcripts? Did I miss anybody?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, Romel.
Okay, Romel. Have you already sent it, or is it?
Yeah, I did. Way down.
Okay. You can see how many emails I get. It's crazy. Okay.
Right there. Mine is also reverse.
Okay. All right. So you had down, so this, you actually are for A, 4.5 for A and 2 for B.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
I saw myself like on a high wire, so there's like a lot of like a fine line. So I thought that would be more on the geometric because it's the line.
Okay.
I actually saw this circles as well, and there's a black thing on it, so that's actually both A and B.
So
I'll just refer it to a color so I don't get confused. The next sketch was it looks like the back of an animal with a tail.
Right, right.
And that kind of looks like more like a petal, like this, the thing that protrudes out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that was more of the flower. And
Right.
then I saw multiple images of stuff, and it's just all multiple. And I label it as alive because in the next page I actually quantify it as it's vibrating.
Okay.
So go to the next page. I I put it out like I also see a human, kind of like Marty. I
Okay.
almost see through it. It's more so like it's a schematic diagram of energy. And I thought that would be more relevant towards the geometric thing because it's more like when you look at the picture of those geometric designs, it looks like they're moving, but they're really not. Right? It's kind of like trippy.
Okay.
Thought that was be significant to that, and then that's also multiplied with all this multiple stuff that I actually saw. So I thought, which like has an opening. So I thought that would be more connected towards the geometric design. I know it's not specifically triangle, but there are openings.
Right here, opening.
Yeah, and then also.
So within a framework, there's the little.
Yeah, so
little
it's
thing.
like very strong. That it's almost like when if I'm a graphic artist, if I want to create something that makes it kind of move, it's almost like an art field kind of thing drawing. So that's why I put my confidence on the one that is more like a geometric design.
So even though it says B here, that's really A. So
yeah. I reversed for whatever reason.
That's okay. Yeah, the way that these are done up here on this screen, it's not real easy to tell. So that's easy to see why that happened. Let's see, Terry, were you able to get yours across, or do you know?
It didn't come back to me this time, so you should have received it.
Yeah. There it is. Okay.
My machine ate my paper.
Oh no. Okay. So we have a little curve here thanks to the machine. Would you like to talk about it a little bit?
Sure. I'll just look at it here. Let's see. So I felt that, as you were doing the meditation, this was very interesting. When you said to go and see yourself in the future,
Mm-hmm.
remember that part? I actually saw myself waving at myself and showing me this shape of a square type of thing on the ground. And I felt that I was outside. So that was the first impression I got, which I wrote down before I even did the ideogram. So the top thing on the right where it says something laying down outdoors, open space, that little rectangle. That's the impression I got when I saw myself in the future. It was cool.
Sounds pretty cool.
So, yeah. So then I saw number 1, it's all explanatory there. Man-made, 2 land, 3 outdoors for sure, 4 curve, 5 man-made, 6 space, 7 again curve, 8 man-made, and 9 I could feel all these different separations. And it was wide. So I felt that I had sight contact because my arms were extended to either side, and I could feel all these differences, all these separations, like breaks in a pattern or something like that. So PBS or Photosite A, I thought would be maybe 5. Don't really know. I'm not so good at the self-judging yet. Oh, and the blue and sparkly, I could see these little lights or something like that, and it was illuminated somehow that I felt.
Okay.
And then the Photosite B, I didn't get anything on that at all. I don't feel, but there must have been a curve that I felt was maybe because there's lots of curves there in that.
Right, there are. So what did you rate yours, Terry?
Photosite A 5 and Photosite B 1.
Okay, 5 and 1. Okay, very good. Okay, I think that may be everybody. Is that everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me close this down. Go back to this. Okay. Then what we have to do is we have to come up with a group prediction. And I'm kind of going through these things, and I've got, let's see, Terry and Jonathan, Lynn, Romel, and Donna. So that's 5 for side A. Did I miss anyone who's for side A? And then we've got Shane and Ima for side B. Is that correct? And then Marty and Ted and Julie were passes. Did I miss anybody? So it looks like we have 5 people for A and 2 for B.
5 for A and two for B.
So as a group, are we comfortable with going for A, or do you think that there is enough strong viewing here for B that it would be a pass? Does anyone have any strong feelings about it?
This is B. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I didn't share my my images, but I was for A.
You were for A as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So that makes 6 for A. Yeah. What were your scores on that, if you don't mind me asking? I was going to make a graph of this later, but
I would say a 4 on A and like a 2 on B.
okay, a 4 and a 2.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So Terry, you're saying you would bet, and Jonathan, you would.
Yes,
Okay.
on A.
On A. Does anyone have any strong objections? So basically, let's see, we had a 5, a 4, a 4, a 4.5, and a 4.5. So it looks like we're between a 4.5 and a 5 for A. I think I'm going to put it as a 4.5. For B, the scores that we had a 4.5 and a 4. So that's Ima and Shane. Did anyone else have a B that I don't have on my list? So that would be, we don't have a 4.25. Uh-oh. So if I put this down based on those 2, that would be a 4, which would probably come up as a pass, wouldn't it, Marty? If I put a 4 in here? In this,
Teresa, I don't know what you're asking. I put myself down as a 1 for B,
okay,
but
so
I give myself a 1 and a 1 both. So
I was just going with the ones that predicted B.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the other ones are pretty much a pass.
Gotcha.
So, like you and
Yes.
Ted and Marty are passes.
Yeah.
For collective, for B, I think less than 3.5 is a pass. So with a 4, that would be
Yeah.
a go, wouldn't it?
Well, normally, if you were rating this, let me just say how I would do this if I was rating this myself. Like if I had a score of a 4.5 on A and a 4 on B, then I would put them both in here and it would probably come up as a pass, when you put this in. But since we're doing this as a group, I'm trying to kind of average in my head what numbers we need to put down here. And I'm thinking a 4.5 is a good average here because we had 6 people and they were all a 4 or above who put photosite A as the one that would actualize. For B, I'm going to put a lower number here than what we had 2 people who were both a 4 point or better for side B. And normally if you were doing this yourself, you would put the actual number there. But since we're doing this for a group, I'm just going to put down here a 3, I think, just so that it will be correct. And go ahead, Mark.
Okay, and let me clarify that.
Okay.
A 4, if it's the highest,
Mhm.
would in fact be the way you would go. But if you have a 4.5 for A and a 4 for B, if you were to
Right.
do that, you would still get whatever the prediction was for photosite A.
Would you?
Yes
I mean,
or
it's
no.
it's so close. I thought it had to be at least 1 point different for it to
It
come
has
up.
to be what we found. No, it doesn't. But what we found historically is that you get a better hit rate if it's one or more.
Okay.
But the system will choose the highest
The
one.
system will choose the highest one. Okay.
Yes.
All righty. Okay. Well, then I will, I'm just going to put some notes down here in the bottom that we had 1, 2, 3, 4.
Can I ask a question?
Uh-huh.
It seems self-evident that if you've got like 3 times as many people with a average of a 4-ish confidence on A than you do on B, that has to somehow, you could do some kind of math, but it just sensibly it seems that there's way more leaning towards A as a group than towards B.
Right.
Doesn't that make
Well,
sense?
let me not disagree with that. That's one set of logic which a lot of people use. But there's another, which is imagine if somebody got a 6.5. They were so good on B that it would be hard to discard that. You'd have to take that into account, and that makes the decision somewhat harder sometimes.
And I think, some of the managers also look at it as far as which viewers are for what side. So if you have really experienced viewers who have a really good track record, like you can go in and you can see that they have a really strong hit rate, then some managers will give those more weight than, say, a person who's brand new and this may be their first time ever. So there are things that would influence, what a group manager would do. But in general, if you've got more people going for one side than the other, then that would be the way that you would go. So unless we
May
have
I
any, yeah, please.
make a comment? Just speaking to what Ted was talking about, that is done. I think it's something like the Colorado technique,
Yeah.
protocol, where they just stack one on the other side. In that case, it would be a prediction for A if they were just stacked and not scored like that.
Yeah, if you're just saying, which ones, not even scoring them. Yeah, exactly. Just eyeballing them and going for it. Okay, well, I guess then we are ready to submit this, and that will be our prediction that side A will actualize. Is that correct? Here we go. Okay, and that means yes. So what we are predicting here, guys, is that we will have a Triple Crown winner. And if that happens, this will only be the second time in history that it has ever happened.
Hey, I'll book those odds if anybody
I
wants
tell
to
you,
bet.
I tell you. So those are going to be some pretty good odds. So let's see, where did my
What are the odds?
The
gosh,
odds are very long because it happens infrequently, and the horses that are candidates for it are still in the process right now of proving themselves throughout this late winter and early spring set of run-up races.
right.
And nobody looks like a real monster to me. Maybe one, but I would take the if anybody wants to bet that there will be a Triple Crown. I will take your bet.
Well, those of us that were on side B, it's my belief if you feel really, really comfortable with that, you could wager on the other side. You should go personally, and there's nothing immoral or unethical with that, because you're really supporting your own self. However, I think in this case, to go for no, it would be such a, you'd probably have to bet $100 to win $10 or something like that.
Can I ask Ted? Can you even bet that a Triple Crown winner will not happen?
Can you bet that it will not happen? Well, sure. There's ways, like we did it in our little experiment a few years ago. Is if you say it's going to not happen, well, then once the Kentucky Derby happens, so then you take that horse out of the Preakness, and you have to find some way to bet, against, to bet somebody else. But if you've got like the monster horse, the horse that now everybody's going to jump on, you can take him out. Well, you can get some kind of a bet. So if you make money on the second leg, then you take all your money and you put it on the third leg. So it's a way of doing a parlay, but except by betting at a bookmaker or overseas at Betfair, it's difficult to do that in my knowledge.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so you're saying you don't think there's one of the offshore places that will take this kind of bet?
They'll
Well,
take.
I'm not an expert in offshore places, but there's probably somebody somewhere will give you odds on a Triple Crown for sure.
I'm looking at 5 dimes now.
And
Oh, there it
yeah,
is.
they'll
There is
take
one.
it. They'll take it on it a Triple Crown winner happening because that's something they think they're going to make money on. You know,
Sure.
Okay,
yeah. So
I
we're
am looking at it. I'm
yeah.
looking at it, so I can tell you what the odds are.
Okay.
Any horse wins Triple Crown is plus 575. So that means if you were to put out a $10 wager, you would get your $10 back plus $57.50. Okay, so $100 will get you your 100 plus 575. And on the other side, that there will not be a triple winner, it's minus 850, which means you'd have to put up $85 to win 10. So it's pretty close with my 100 versus 10.
I don't think many people are going to do that.
Exactly. Sort of interesting.
Hmm.
But just for fun, you could do that. Okay, anyway, so the odds are out there in 5 dimes, and I'm sure a lot of the other people do it. So
Okay.
interesting.
Okay, so that is our prediction for the group. So this will be really interesting. So we should know something like in May. We'll know if we have a chance, huh? Well, it should be really exciting. I'm looking forward to June, having a big winner here. That's going to be great.
Yeah.
So the next thing I wanted to talk about for anyone who wants to stay, as I was going to talk a little bit about the first group, racing group, and what we're doing there. Yeah, Lynn, let's do remote influencing. That's cool. I don't know. We'll see. I guess if we have a winner, we'll wonder, won't we? But in our first group, we do horse racing. We do it a little bit differently than what we're doing today because we are looking at one race instead of at a group of races like this is. So we're looking to see what the since it's a binary choice, we can't actually predict the winner. So what we have to do, we had to come up with some way to make it a question that you can answer in a yes or no fashion. But there is a statistical advantage in the way that we're doing it. Because the question that we ask is, will the odds favorite horse end up in the winners, like in I can't even think of in the win, place, or show? Will they end up win, place, or show, and in the race? And it turns out that the answer is yes. In the races that I looked at in 2016, this is not for the entire year, but of 28 races, 17 of them. The answer was yes, that the odds favorite horse did finish in the money, and 11 times it did not. So you actually have an advantage just on the front end before you even do your remote viewing. There is an advantage to the question that we ask because the odds favorite horse does tend to come in the money. But so what we're trying to do is take that advantage and push it a little bit further and see if we can get a little bit more precise. So as I said, that's the question that we ask. And so we have a specific race at a specific track. And then since sometimes the answer to that comes back, no, that horse is not going to finish in the money, then you don't have anything to bet if you're a bettor. A lot of times people just are doing this for practice, but if you are wanting to bet, then we do have something called the color prediction. And so that is on a Google form that I send out, and it has colors that are linked to each horse. So that's if you look at the horses here, you can't see it very well, but there are colors on their saddle cloth that's linked to each horse. And so you can, by predicting the color, you can come up with a prediction for each horse or for a winning horse. And so the question here is choose the saddlecloth color of a horse finishing in the money when show or place in the designated race. So we do those two things for each race that we predict. And so here are some of the colors, and they do correspond to the post position. So red is always going to be the horse in the first post position, white, blue, and so on. It just depends on how big a field you have, on how many colors you have to choose from. And so the instructions for that are just to just let the color come and don't second guess it and just go with it. And so it's a pretty simple and quick process. So, and that is pretty much it. Does anyone have any questions about anything we've done today? Any of the viewing or the judging or the groups that we have, any of the groups that we have? Any questions at all?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Could we have already chosen the color of the horse during the session, do you think?
In today's session? Or,
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't our task today. See, today's was a little bit different because we weren't actually looking at one race. We were actually looking at a group of 3 races. So I don't know how we could have done that. I mean, supposedly we could have done a color prediction for each of the 3 races, but we don't know how many horses there are yet. So that's kind of the problem. They haven't selected the field yet, so we don't. Ted, do they know how many horses are going to be in each of these races yet? I know some are limited, but some are not.
20 in the Kentucky Derby. It's always 20.
It's always
Unless,
20.
well, sometimes there's late scratches like the day before, but
Right. Right.
so if you have to pick, like the 15th, 16th, 17th colors, horses, I think that's 20 is a whole lot of colors to be picking.
And they're going to be somewhat similar, like you're going to have some that are turquoise and some that are bright blue. And, so it becomes more difficult the more horses you have for a color
I'd like
prediction.
to add a comment to that as well. In the larger races, like the Breeders' Cup, and I think in the Triple Crown races, with the large fields of horses, they have a different saddlecloth color. I mean, they're all uniform. They're all the same. For instance, the Breeders' Cup, many times you'll see that all the saddlecloth colors are purple, and they have the logo, the Breeders' Cup logo on there.
Oh, okay.
I've just noticed that because years ago I was doing the same thing, and
Right.
I ran into that in the bigger races because those are the races I wanted to look at. Those are the big ones.
Mhm.
And the Breeders' Cup, they're all purple. So what do you do with that? And I don't know. Maybe you'd have to find out ahead of time if they're going to use standard color designation.
Right.
You know
Do
what I mean?
they
I
do
think
it?
for the Triple Crown races, they're all individual colors because they're just general. They're standalone stakes races in their own right, and sometimes the Preakness and the Belmont have 8, 10, 11 horses, but the Kentucky Derby always has a lot.
Mhm.
I could check it out, but I'm pretty sure that they're distinct saddlecloth colors for these 3 races.
Ted, you're probably right. I mean, most certainly probably right about that. But it's just something to be mindful of. Sometimes they do.
Absolutely.
That's a
You're
good
right
point.
about the Breeders' Cup. They are uniform saddlecloth colors in the Breeders' Cup.
Well, I
and
learned.
some other.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So Shane, do you think that they use the distinctive colors? Do they keep those on the? I guess they wouldn't keep them on jockey colors because those are pretty much the stable, huh?
Yeah, those are all the stable
Yeah.
jockeys, the patterns, I guess.
Okay.
But I think listening to Ted comment on that, he's probably right. In these larger races, do have individual colors, but like he was saying, the Breeders' Cup there are many different stakes races, but it's like one event, and so they just have a uniform color. I also noticed in Australia they don't go by that either. Of course, red, white, and blue doesn't mean the same thing it does here in the States.
Right.
So they use just the same saddlecloth colors for all the horses.
Okay. Well, I would say, in our horse racing group, we've been doing this for a year now, and I'm hoping that as we go forward, we'll find ways to refine what we're doing and, just come up with all sorts of different ideas on ways to make it more accurate and more fun. We've had some successes. A lot of individuals have had successes. As a group, we haven't had the kind of group hits that I would like, but I think that's going to come. And I think that as we get more into this and get more energy around what we're doing and come up with different ideas, that I think it's just going to continue to progress. And it's just a lot of fun. So I hope that you'll be interested in joining us. If you're looking for a group to join, we usually do predictions, like I'll send out a prediction. Usually the tasking goes out on a Thursday or a Friday, and then the predictions are due from you on Sunday morning, and send out the information to you usually sometime later Sunday. And then the race itself is generally a Monday race. I try to get one as late on Monday as I can get it, and that way you have the weekend to actually do your work. And get it in by Sunday morning, and so then you'll get your feedback either Monday night or Tuesday, and that's pretty much the way that our group is currently working. Sometimes, like this week, we ended up doing a race for a race that was Thursday because I had stuff going on the weekend. So there are times when we'll do a race in the middle of the week, but generally it's on the predictions are due on the weekend. Anyone else have some more questions? Okay, well, thank you so much for your participation. I love seeing all your transcripts and working with you today, and I hope we have a win here. This looks great.
Teresa, thank you very much.
Thanks, Teresa.
Okay, thank you.
Teresa, thank you. It's fascinating to watch your work. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye, you guys.